Welcome to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower, brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/your20-minute podcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Now, here's your host, David Brower.
Thanks, Allan. This is David Brower with your 20-minute podcast, and our special guest today is Nikki Stern. She's an author of 3 books, 2 nonfiction, 1 fiction. She's written essays. She's co-authored different things. She's been a composer, musician in New York, a PR director for an architecture firm, and an advocate for 9/11 family members. But writing is your favorite career, as I read in your bio. Hi, Nikki. How are you?
Hi. I'm fine. And it is so far.
So far. It's still
well,
early.
You never know. You never know.
You never know what's around that next corner, huh?
Right. I'm all about third act.
There you go. So when and how, what was your epiphany to start writing? How did you get doing that after being a musician, a PR director, those kinds of things?
I mean, I've always written. I've been writing since I was 7 years old, and I wrote some odd little song about a wolf and a little boy. And public relations was about writing. When I was in music for 14 years, I wrote lyrics as well as music. And so there was always some writing, but it really was after the events of 9/11 when I felt compelled to get all of my thoughts and observations as what they were calling back then a 9/11 family member down into a book. So that was the impetus for the first book.
Oh, wow. And that first book is, let me see here, I think I've got,
Because I Say So, Moral Authority's Dangerous Appeal.
There you go.
Yeah.
And an amazing review on that, too. It said, embodying even-keeled grace, tolerance, and common sense. I mean, to put those three things together that's high praise, man. That's high praise.
It was high praise, and I certainly appreciate that Kurt Anderson, the author and NPR host, gave that to me. That was terrific. I can't say it made me rich, but it certainly it was very much appreciated.
Well, gratification sometimes trumps money. Not always.
Yes,
but sometimes.
Most of the time, it does.
Good. I agree with you 100%. So that was your first book, right?
Right. And then there was the idea of a personal journey of mine that I was getting a lot of self-help advice from other people. I was inundated with books on how to survive loss and trauma and all of that. And my impetus for writing the second book, which is called Hope in Small Doses, Reasonable Happiness in Unreasonable Times, was a friend of mine asking me if I felt hopeful. She asked me a little too soon, but again, everybody has a different process.
Absolutely.
And I realized I didn't even know what that meant. So I decided to take a couple years and try to figure out what hope is to most people, and then what it could mean to me, and then whether what I came up with might work for other people.
There you go. So are you a 9/11 survivor?
I am what they were calling back then a 9/11 widow. I try not to, think that way, but of course it's coming up again because you've got the young people who are going through trauma and then advocacy, and there are people saying, how can they possibly do both? And I know exactly how they can do both because I did both.
You've lived it.
You can process grief, and I'm writing an article, in fact, called "Talking While Grieving." So I'm hoping.
Oh, that would touch a few folks.
It would.
Don't you think? Yeah.
That's my hope.
Yeah. Well, I mean, besides being cathartic for you, I'm sure the opportunity to touch people with your writing. I mean, just reading the titles and the comments, the great comments about these reviews. That's the word I'm searching for. It just seems to me that that's kind of your calling. I'm going to do this stuff for me. Oh yeah, not really. I'm going to do this stuff to help other people.
Well, I have done that, and I will do that again. But then, in the meantime, I realized I just wanted to have some good old-fashioned storytelling fun.
Nice.
And so I said, I'm going to write a novel. And I actually started, 3, because guess what? No, not everybody can write a novel. And then I took a class, and then I wrote short stories, and I did a lot of practicing.
Sure.
And then it started to come together. The third one, I hope I'll look at the first two some other time.
There you go.
And then, I thought, well, okay, now I have to make this fast-paced and entertaining and, suspenseful.
And your first novel got great reviews, right? I mean, it was a riveting read from start to finish, is what the Kirkus Review mentioned. You're getting some high praise on all this stuff, and they don't make those kinds of comments lightly.
No, I don't think they do. But yeah, I'm going for it. We'll see what happens again. So hard to figure out how to translate that into sales.
Right.
But I'm going to make an audio book because.
Well, that was my next question. I would think you would want to do that. I've done probably 7 or 8 audiobooks for different authors, and it's just so popular anymore that people can be alone with the book in a totally different way than what my mother used to be alone with a book, as an example. It's just a different way.
Absolutely, David. I mean, for better or for worse, on the West Coast, people are in their cars.
Right.
And somebody said, gee, lots of people said this ought to be made into a movie. And I thought, well, I got to send an audiobook then to those people that make those decisions, because they have to listen. But believe it or not, I'm not going to do my own. I mean, there is too much going on. I'm tired. I've done too much work. So I'm auditioning people through ACX, Audible. Oh, my gosh. There are a lot of really talented people out there.
Yeah, there are. I've done a couple books through ACX, and that is such a great venue for writers, voice actors, all that kind of stuff. It's just it helps create a true win-win situation, I think, when you have the right voice talent with the right book. There's just something. I did that. I just finished a book about 3 weeks ago, and it was called the 121-day devotional from the Book of Jonah. And and this author found me through the most interesting ways. And I'm going, wow, how did that come about, And we just hooked up, and it was magic, and it was great. And I don't do them very often, but when they speak to me, it's like, well, yeah, why wouldn't you do that one, Well,
there's one woman, and I didn't select her, but she said, you know what, I bought your book anyway because it looked so exciting. And I thought to myself, well, first of all, that's so excellent to hear.
Yeah.
But that's why I've gotten, almost 24 audition tapes so far.
Nice.
So I know I have to kind of cut it off, but it's kind of exciting too.
Well, and it's fun to see what they do with your text, right? And can they make it personal? Can they give the intent of what you intended? I mean, that's a challenge.
And I'll tell you what, if you have an international thriller with a large cast of characters from lots of different countries, there's a lot, male and female, from ages 23 to 75, and then there's a child in there. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, if you find the right person, they might bring the rest of the actors along.
Yeah.
Which would be cool. Well, I'm excited for you. I just I think that's I got goosebumps on that one. Good for you. So you've also got some essays that have appeared in the New York Times, Newsweek, USA Today, Humanist Magazine. So are you still writing essays from time to time?
I am. The initial essays, the ones in the big papers, were related to my experience of 9/11, and I started speaking a little more on tolerance than maybe other family members did at some point, and so then I was talking about people's reactions and trying to find a counterpart to people's reactions. And I worked with a group called Search for Common Ground, and about trying to find commonality with people that you would normally be opposing, kind of instinctively. It hasn't gone all that well in the United States, but I remain committed to trying.
Well, good for you.
And I have written some essays to that, but I've also written some essays that are my opinion, and some of those have found their way into books that are more opinionated. It
Nice.
just depends on what the book is.
Yeah. Have you thought about doing a podcast?
I want to so much. I adore recording. I just can't figure out what I would do it on.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got to work out. Why do you ask?
Well, because I love the way your mind works. It goes in all. I mean, seriously, that was one of the attractions to wanting you on my podcast.
Thank you.
Was I like the different books, the titles, the reviews. I mean, you can just read a lot about a person's personality if you don't overthink it. Just by reading their bio. Yeah.
If I can find a topic that isn't already being done, well, it probably will be, and then infuse it with whatever it is I am, I would find that so enjoyable. I love recording.
Well, and it doesn't have, who cares if somebody else is doing it? It's about your perspective and your take and your ability to touch people with your words and your mind. So I think, don't put don't turn the lights off. There's lots of opportunities.
No, I actually have one idea. It was a kind of a kinder, gentler, but not too much kinder and gentler, Andy Rooney.
Oh my gosh!
Not quite as acerbic, because it's me, and I always laugh. But I do have opinions, and
well, that's what we're all looking for. Sometimes we need them more than we think we do. Just to, oh, really? It's not all about me. Okay, I'll think about that for a while.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of, life is so busy and we're all looking for immediate gratification and we're going from point A to point Z in 0.3 seconds. And we need opportunities like that to slow us down and make us stop in our tracks and go, well, let's think about that.
I agree with you completely.
So your latest book is...
Well, the book I'm working on now is I've never done this before, but it's the first in a series, and I started to write it as a mystery. Mm-hmm. Okay, there was one character that was a little unusual, but I joined the Mystery Writers of America, and I went to all these conventions, and then about 9 months in, someone said, it's kind of science fiction. And I said, but it's a mystery.
Right.
Trying to solve a crime. And the big problem with the publishing company and its publishing companies and the publishing industry is they are a little bit they tend to pigeonhole things. You're a mystery writer, you're a sci-fi writer, you're a this, you're a that.
They're going to stereotype you before they even give you a shot, right?
Paradoxically, the new, what I call the new television, the streaming services like Netflix, they're all about hybrids. So if you go to Netflix, there's a mystery story that's also a fantasy. There's a science fiction where somebody, which is also a thriller. A counterpoint on Stars is like that.
Sure.
So we'll see if I can't push the industry, then I will do it myself.
Self-publish.
But I know that this is going to be great for Netflix. I know it. And I like the character.
Yeah, and if Netflix, they don't do things lightly. They're going to invest in research and make informed decisions. And so if they've already done that, for lack of a better term, and they're having some success with the hybrid philosophy that you're thinking about, that's got to be okay. Let's go for that ride.
And I think it would be fun.
I
don't like it when people get pigeonholed into genres. I think I feel bad for the authors and I feel bad for the readers. I think it's fun. The mystery readers are one kind of people, and the sci-fi readers are, they have their crazy conventions.
Right.
But why not?
Why not?
So I had to join all different groups now, and I had to go to these crazy conventions with people in costumes.
Looking at a hybrid of mystery and science fiction, or whatever kind of hybrid, I think there's definitely an audience out there that the publishers may not have given permission to yet.
I absolutely agree, and I'm very excited about it because I'm already writing book 2, and I have the idea sketched out for 3 and 4. And
nice.
This isn't anything I ever imagined doing, but there I am doing it.
Well, and you're keeping your options open. It appears, and when that little epiphany hits, you have the ability to listen to it. Not a lot of us have that gift.
Most of the time.
I hear you.
No one's perfect.
That's a true story. So your newest book then is The Former Assassin, is that right?
The newest book that's out right now is called The Former Assassin, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, the usual. Right now it's not in bookstores, but it is available in print as well as ebooks, all sorts of platforms.
Nice.
Google Play, Apple, Nook, Kindle. I run a lot of specials on Kindle. So.
Oh, nice. Well, again, the reviews on there, riveting read from start to finish, an explosive page-turner, rousing tale with many layered protagonists. I mean, you just look at those 3 reviews and you go, well, yeah, I got to pick that up,
Well, that's what I hope people do.
I mean, that's your PR stuff coming out right there.
Yep, it
right?
sure is.
Yeah.
It sure is.
That is awesome. So is The Former Assassin the first book in your series, or is that totally different?
I have told people it's a standalone. It's completely different. It's more of it's less of a murder mystery, or a mystery, or a crime procedural, which the other ones are. It's more of a straight-out thriller. It's like a cat-and-mouse game.
Nice.
Someone thinks someone's dead, but he's still... The opening line of the blurb is, Suzanne Foster, wife, mother, former assassin, wants to retire. Her boss wants her dead. So...
Why am I thinking of the movie The Red Sparrow? I don't know why.
Yeah.
Ballerina turns assassin.
Yeah.
Well, how exciting for you. How long has that been out?
Just January.
Okay. So you're starting to get a little bit of traction with it?
I am.
Nice.
Slowly but surely.
Nice.
Book clubs, which is kind of fun.
So, I guess that was my next question is, with all your PR experience, which obviously has to pay off for you, how do you, what's your philosophy in getting your books out there to the public?
Well, I have to pull back sometimes because doing PR, and maybe I could have or should have hired someone, but I wanted to see how much I could do.
Sure.
And there is a limit. I get pulled away from my writing, and that's a problem. So I'm kind of relying on networking. I do a couple of events, and then people, for example, I met some people near me who go to Florida in the winter, and I now have 3 book clubs in Florida who've ordered the book.
Wow.
Yeah. And then somebody had a friend or a cousin or a sister-in-law from North Carolina, and then she went to her book club, and they ordered some. So that's another way to go. It's slow, but again, that's I love the idea of book clubs.
Well, yeah, I've got some friends that do that, and it's so, at least I haven't been in one, but from what my dear friend says about it, it's just so impactful when they select the right book, and it's not always appealing for everybody in the club, but that's what brings out the conversation,
They are great fans.
Oh, my gosh.
Book club members are great fans.
Exactly.
Wow, yeah, they're loyal, and they're, they are.
Well, and it goes back
there are
to...
2 books.
Yeah, it goes back to word of mouth,
Yeah, absolutely.
Always has been, always will be the best form of advertising, I think. Well, that's cool. I'm so thrilled for you. This has been a wonderful conversation. And folks, I want to invite you to check out NikkiStern.com. That's Nikki, Nikki Stern, Stern. No relation to the Howard Stern, I assume.
None.
But maybe. NikkiStern.com. She's also on Facebook. She's also on Twitter. And are you still working on Instagram?
Oh, yeah, I'm on now. I have, 18 followers, I think.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I just followed you on Twitter, so I'll have to slip over to Instagram.
Yeah, at Real Nikki Stern.
There you go.
I guess opposed to the fake one.
There you go. Yeah, Twitter is Real Nikki Stern, and the Facebook page is facebook.com/Nikki Stern Author. And is Real Nikki Stern on Instagram?
It is.
Cool. Well, check it all out. All the links to everything, examples of her books, history about her, and the whole enchilada, if you will. NikkiStern.com. This has been a real treat, Nikki. Thank you, and continued success.
And thank you.
Your 20-minute podcast with David Brower has been brought to you by Audible. You can listen to any of David's podcasts anywhere podcasts can be found, including iHeartRadio, the Spotify mobile app, and at davidbrowervo.com/your20-minute podcast. Until next time, thanks for listening.